Hello. Well, everyone, this is why you get organised and don't muck around because you forget your mic. Anyway, I hope you're all doing fantastically well. It is Connor here, and Brighton have nearly scored. They've just hit the bar. What is it with Brighton and finishing? It's absolutely appalling. But we're back here with another preview. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. And yeah, we're back here to discuss Leeds United. We're back here to discuss the Whites' next fixture, which is a huge one. It's an absolutely huge one, and it's a quick turnaround, isn't it? It's a quick turnaround. I can see a few of your guys' comments coming in already. Just to let you know, for tomorrow, the debrief is going to be on. It's going to be on at 7 o'clock, and myself and Brownie will be entertaining you guys for that one. We've got a little bit of an update on that as well, so make sure you come and check the show out tomorrow night. As I said, we're trying to jam-pack everything in. We've got a Generation Leeds coming this week with me and my old man on the Patreon account. We've got another tactical breakdown coming down of Leicester City, and we'll churn one out regarding Fulham as well on the Patreon account, so it's flying over there. So thank you so much for your continued support over there and here, of course. The link's in the description below if you want to just help us out on the channel and go over there. But as well, everyone, we have a massive payout, a huge payout for the Leicester City game. £1,000 is on the line, everybody. Yes, make sure you get over to BETMATE. Check out the app. You can download it on Android. You can download it on Apple. And the pot code is FF-LEI-LEE, and this is my team for this week. Yes, everyone, I've gone heavy. I'm going to get Brownie involved in this as well, but I've gone heavy Leeds. I've gone Meslier in there, Strout, Castagna, Dewsbury Hall, Tyler Adams, Bamford as captain, and Jack Harrison. So there you go. Maybe that gives you a bit of an indicator on what I think. So evening, Connor. It says, Justin, how you, mate? Hope you're all right. And yeah, as Justin says, everyone, just make sure you like the video. It just means that you're enjoying the stuff. You're enjoying it as Brighton have missed yet another chance. Evening, Connor. How you, Danny? Sugary Goodness says, the longer we remain winless, the harder it is to pick up 3 points. I do not disagree with that, Sugary Goodness. I think that boils down to confidence, obviously self-esteem, and just patterns of play and all that good stuff you expect in a winning pot of goodness that is provided in the Premier League. And the Premier League is such a tough league. There's so much quality and calibre when it comes to the level of player that you simply have to start picking up points as soon as possible. That's why Nottingham Forest have gone down to Brighton tonight and put 11 men behind the ball, because they just want to pick up a point. We need to be picking up points against Leicester City, and we're going to get into that. Brownie is on one. Josh says, is KG in retirement after these Leeds results? I don't know, mate. What I can tell you, though, is just going forward with regards to the debrief, KG is not going to be appearing on the debrief anymore. He's just focusing on his own stuff, and I think he's got a few personal things coming up. So it will be me and Brownie going forward, and we've got a few ideas, and we're going to update you guys on what we think. And it might be getting you guys involved as well, which is going to be great for the channel as well. Obviously, with the fan phoning show, I think it'd be quite good to maybe merge your guys' opinions and maybe a little bit of the debrief. So we're looking at a few things. So we're going to be announcing a few bits tomorrow. Support from the US, my G. How you, Jonah? I hope you're all right, buddy. Oh, bless. Kids, I've had it. I've had at him with the stick-on tats. The stick-on tats, yeah. Oh, God, they're not stick-on, mate. They're not stick-on. I can tell you that. Nigel, evening top man. How you, mate? Evening, Connor. How you, Gordon? Hoping for 3 points on Thursday. We need to start beating the low block teams. I agree, and that's what I was saying the other night, wasn't I, Gordon? When it comes to it, and I can just see there, Homer J. Nix mentioned Harvey Barnes. We've got to keep that lad quiet. Those quick 1-2s, he was doing them at the weekend. It's a trademark of Harvey Barnes, cutting in off that side and 1-2 in it with Jamie Vardy or Daka and been able to get in those spaces. And he did it against us, didn't he, last season? Jesse Marsh's first game. But everybody, this is a must not lose. For me, it's a must win. Why is it a must win? Because Leicester are perilously dropping at the minute. They are like a stone. They're on 5 points. And if we aren't looking at beating Leicester City, who are in the bottom three, who do we look at beating? Who do we look at beating this season? Because there's people saying Villa wasn't a must win. Everton wasn't a must win. I don't know why there's so many Leeds fans just sort of, maybe it's because they don't like having that pressure aspect. Does it cloud a little bit of reality sometimes? Potentially. But there's got to be an expectation rise. Leeds have to pick up points somewhere. They have to pick up points somewhere. And if a team is in the bottom three without their key man when it comes to James Maddison, with a host of other injuries, including Johnny Evans, including Ricardo Pereira, including many, many others who we're going to get onto in the video, what who are we looking at beating here? Are we looking at beating anyone in the Premier League? Is that what it is? But listen, for me, it's a must-win. I think we've got to beat them. And the reason I think we've got to beat them is because the environment, the situation that Leeds United are in at the minute, we are in trouble. We are in trouble, and you cannot let this get to 3 wins. 3 losses is not a good position to be in for Leeds. So a lot of people will say stop the rot, and I understand that. But when you've got Leicester and you've got a hurt, injured Leicester like they are, and you've got a performance like we did put in against Arsenal, I don't want to see a depreciation when it comes to that level of performance against Leicester, although I think the game state will be very different against Arsenal, which may force Leeds to not be as expansive as we were and find it a little bit more difficult with Leicester. That sounds mad, but I'll get onto it. And as well, you look at this Leicester side, and I don't think we'll get a better opportunity to beat them. I really don't. So it's a lot of if buts and maybes at the minute. But Leeds have to be going into this with a positive mindset and to be looking to pick up all 3 points. I know some fans, don't, as I've just said, don't think it's a must win. But for me, that is just absolutely balmy. So are the only must wins this year then Bournemouth and Fulham and Forest? Is that it? Is that what we're looking at? I mean, where are expectations? These are the same fans as well who are saying we're going to finish mid-table. So, we seriously need to pick up some points for me in this one. And we're going to get into a couple of your comments. Connor, so do you expect a Nyonto feature on Thursday? I really think this guy is what's missing. I don't, mate. And I think, listen, it's great with Nyonto. Of course it is. It's great in being there. But I don't think he's the... it's not the missing part at the minute for me. The missing part is the 11 at the minute. The missing part is when it's the Patrick Bamford rustiness. The missing part is Patrick Bamford playing, 3 games and missing 8 big chances and being top of the tally when it comes to missed chances in the Premier League already, above Erling Haaland, above Gabriel Jesus, above all the big boys, above Mo Salah, even though they've played, 7 times the games. Or the minutes, I should say, not the games. So, yeah, it's not just on Patrick Bamford, of course. It's not. It's across the front line, but Leeds need to start performing up top. I almost think the midfield is half decent. I think it's going to be a difficult one in this one because if Brendan Rodgers has got anything about him, what he's going to do is just bypass that midfield, knock it over, which instead of playing through it, which Arsenal and Chelsea tried to do, if you knock that ball over, it turns Leeds around and it beats that press immediately and it takes Leeds out of it. That's where Jesse Marsch has got to earn his coin and start to think of ways around that, because against the lower teams, the teams that aren't going to be as expansive against Leeds, that is where we get hurt. And and I think we've seen that really. We could win every game now. The road to Europe is just... Oh, Jody, I love your optimism, mate. The picture of Bielsa behind you is amazing. Greetings from Argentina. Hello, Di Morales. Hope I've got that name right. Yes, he will always remain there. There's a lot of people who say take it down. No, you weirdos. Why would I take it down? He is the best time I've ever had as a Leeds United fan. Why would I take it down? Imagine starting Click in 2022. God. Yeah, imagine relying on him at points as well. No Joffe or Greenwood for the 21s. Nyonto isn't playing tonight. That's great. That's good news. It'd be nice to see some of those guys been given a chance, wouldn't it? At points this season, I think maybe are the youngsters ready? That's a different conversation. But the 11 on the pitch have to start making an impact at the minute. They really do. And I think there's Leeds fans are a brilliant set of fans. There is a lot. Maybe I'm on the edge when it comes to Leeds fans in terms of maybe being a little bit more critical than the rest. A lot of Leeds fans are so patient. We could go 5-6 games losing on the bounce, and there would still be Leeds fans saying, it's okay, it's fine, there's still going to be a push at the end of the season, which is incredible mental resilience, and I respect that hugely. But I just think at the minute with the teams we've played, Leeds, we couldn't have asked for a better start, and we have to start picking up points rapidly. Do you think Firpo should get in a look in on Thursday? it's a difficult one with Junior. I mean, he doesn't fancy him. It's evident. It's so obvious that he doesn't want him in there for me. Pascal has done a really good job, and I think Jesse understands that. He respects that. He probably thinks to himself he's got a better brain than Junior Firpo, which we all know he has. And Cooper, I thought he had a better game against Arsenal. I mean, we know with Coops, there is mistakes in him, individual errors against Crystal Palace. For me, both goals were his fault. And that's the narrow margins we have nowadays in Premier League football because you get punished. But Junior Firpo is just a problem for me. He is a problem. He is a mistake in waiting. And I feel like he would give up more mistakes, more enforced errors than Cooper altogether, really. So, yeah, we know what we're going to get with Liam Cooper, but I feel Firpo, there's going to be a booking in there instantaneously. There's probably going to be a couple of men skipping past him. I mean, who'd be on his side? It wouldn't be Harvey Barnes, would it? It'd be someone on the other side. So, yeah, I mean, we'll get into Leicester's predicted lineup soon, but yeah, I think we've got to be really careful with throwing Firpo in there. Although, against Leicester, we did actually have a really good game last time under Jesse Marsh. Maybe he'll have a little bit of more license to get forward. Leeds maybe a little bit more expansive with him in there. Are they that threatening on that right-hand side? I know with Barnes, they're threatening on the other side, but are they that, problematic in there? I actually think one of the bigger problems is someone like Dewsbury Hall, who can carry the ball, who's a very, very good ball carrier, very combative as well. So it's going to be fascinating to see what Leeds do. Imagine starting Cooper in 2022. Yeah, I mean, we know it, don't we? We know it. I can't. Yeah, some of the players that start for Leeds now, it's just. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible, but it is what it is. What can you do about it? What can you do? And what I'm going to do, everyone, is just getting some of the team news, Leicester's team news as well. So. Looks like they're going to be without Ricardo Pereira, Ryan Bertrand, Wilfred Ndidi, James Maddison, Sionchu, Johnny Evans. I mean, this is a massive host of Leicester players. This is probably why they're doing so badly this season. Now, when we look at the Leicester form as well going into this game, they've got knocked for 6 by Tottenham Hotspur. They've beaten Forest at home on a weeknight 4-0. They're much better under the lights. As I said on my review, it'd been much better for me if this was a 3 p.m. kickoff because, the Leicester fans wouldn't be as up for it. They've been beaten by Bournemouth down at the Vitality. They've drawn with Crystal Palace at home, which was a dire game. Brighton have knocked 5 past them as well. So it's not been a great start. It's not been a great start at all for Leicester City. And, looking at the form guide, everybody, I think there's going to be some people who are probably going to turn around and say, Connor, you're lying. But when I'm looking at the form guide, this is more evidence that Leeds United are in a relegation battle for me. And this is pretty much why at the minute, because the form guide is illustrating it. I don't know how to be more factual than this, to be quite honest with you. But here we are, Leeds United, 19th, just above Nottingham Forest. And you just look at the games that we've played there, everyone. Obviously you've got Brighton, Everton at home, Aston Villa at home, Brentford away, Crystal Palace away, and obviously Arsenal was always going to be a tricky one at home. But just those 4 there, massive opportunities. And just when you look at Forest as well, everyone, this is just something that I noticed as well. Look at let's look at some of the teams that have played. Obviously they've played Man City, they've played Bournemouth as well, Fulham. So you do look at Leicester as well. So you do look at Forest and think they're going to be down there 100%. But Leicester, Man United, they've lost to obviously Brighton, Spurs, Forest, Bournemouth, Palace. Some tricky ones in there. But overall, this is something Leeds should be targeting for me. Yeah, some of those games we had to absolutely bury them. I quite agree with you there, mate. Guys, just make sure you get a like on this video as well. Really appreciate it. 222 of you in the building when there's football on, and this has been a bit impromptu. Dale saying hit a like, really appreciate it. Michael says we need to start with Pat up front and get them from the off, even if he's not scoring, he's creating spaces for other players because defenders hate playing. Yeah, we do need to start him, mate. I completely agree. There's no comparison when Rodrigo's on. There's no comparison. Loads of Leeds fans rate him. And as I said, this is just it's a channel really set up for you guys to be a forum like it is now when I'm flashing your comments up. But for me, it's the channel's obviously built by me as well, so I stick my opinion out there, even though some people don't like it. For me, Rodrigo's just not at it. I've never thoroughly rated him. I think he's a technically gifted player, but it's never worked with him at Leeds United. I think we are trying to shoehorn him into something because the club are almost embarrassed that they broke their record fee and shoehorned nearly 30 million quid into this transfer and have been trying trying to get it working. I don't see where this is going to ever work. I really don't. I don't get where you put him 8, no, 10, no, up front, no, and he'll cluster goals, and then Leeds fans will get excited. There'll be a hype train. The club media team will put stuff out about him, do a player watch, and everyone's going to be behind him. But what I mean by that is it's almost a false illusion that he's going to be banging in 15 goals in a season. It's never going to happen in his career again. 15 goals, I mean, did that ever happen in his career? So, yeah, Patrick Bamford is the man who we have to start up front. And the problem is you've got to get a profile of striker in January like Bamford, as we've spoken about 1,000,001 times. But, yeah, the club have got to do that, and that's the way forward. Has Rodrigo lost his form? He has, mate. Yeah, he has. I mean, it's certain games enable Rodrigo to do well. Certain games enable him to do very well. But when it's in transition, when the ball's just been lumped up as well, what's he going to be able to do? He slows every single passage of play we have when we're going from the defensive third to the attacking third. He takes 7, 8, 9 touches when it needs 1 or 2. I mean, we see that every single game. That's what I was saying the other day about in the Arsenal game. Everyone was saying he was playing really well because he was getting into spaces. I mean, he was worth 30 million quid, and he's getting into spaces and he's doing okay. But I expect more from him. I really do expect more from him. And it's almost a Hollywood thing every single time with him. And that's what you get. You obviously got his through ball to Saka. But you get the 7, 8, 9 touches because he's thinking to himself, how do I overcomplicate this? How do I thread the ball through where maybe people wouldn't think I'd thread it through? Whereas the previous player who we had, Pablo Hernandez, was able to just do that instantaneously. He'd know before the ball came to him where the ball was going. Rodrigo doesn't. So he gets the ball, he's got all the creativity and the technical ability, but he'll get the ball and then he'll figure out where the ball's going. And that's the difference between the top players in that position and the not so top players. But yeah, I think it's definitely a game that Leeds can look at and win. Obviously, this one, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, we need to win this one. I'm looking at the form Leicester are in. I'm looking at the form Leeds are in, and you're probably looking at the game and thinking it's going to be mental. And I think it will be a nuts game. I think they're probably going to start playing the way we will, which I think is going to work for Leeds United. I think, as Brendan Rodgers has said today, Leeds are a dangerous team. So yeah. I think it's there for us to win this one. I really do. I think it's there for us to win. Now, if we were to come out of this with a loss, that would be damning. It would be damning. And you'll get Leeds fans telling you it's not damning and we're still going for Europe, but it is a damning statistic. Losing 3 on the bounce would then probably be bottom of the form table if Forest were to pick up a point tonight. With the fixtures we've had as well, Leeds need to pick up. And listen, if we pick up a win, then you're looking at it and thinking, okay, then you've got fixtures coming up. 3 out of our next 4 fixtures are very, very winnable. You got Leicester, you got Fulham, you got Bournemouth. You win all those 3, everybody. You win all those 3 games, and it's a completely different picture. But with what we're seeing at the minute, do we think that's going to happen with this Leeds side? The problem, as I spoke about in the video yesterday, is consistency. It's Jesse Marsch being able to figure out what to do when teams aren't just creating chaos against Leeds. When teams aren't being frantic against Leeds United, Jesse, what do we do to combat that? Because when they're frantic, it plays into the Red Bull style. And this is always the disadvantage with the Red Bull style, the Red Bull network. It's always the problem with it. You've got to be able to manage situations. I'm going to call out as well his substitutions. His substitutions have to get better. Poor at the weekend again. Poor against Crystal Palace. Now, that is something he can change. He's got to be able to look at games and think to himself, right, this can influence this, this can influence this. This is not for you or me to be able to dictate, to be able to talk about in terms of a real rationale. He gets paid the big money for this. This is just opinion, subjective, but he gets paid the big bucks to be able to sort this out. He has to be making better substitutions. One thing I will always credit Marcelo Bielsa with, because this is the only thing we can compare Jesse Marsch to in the recent years, in the modern era, is he was very good at substitutions. Marcelo was on point at most, in my opinion, at most points with the subs, and a lot of them would pay off, even if it was young subs coming in. It was very rare that he got them wrong. Jesse has made some really bright calls. We obviously saw towards the back end of last season the utilisation of Joe Gelhardt against Wolves and against the likes of Norwich was fantastic, but this season he's making big errors when it comes to substitution. He has to start getting this right, because we're talking about pragmatism in play, when you're talking about formation, when you talk about the right players to play, but when you are impacting a game 60, 70, 80 minutes in, That is all down to game management. And if you're bringing Joe Gelhardt on with 2 minutes to go, but your CEO is coming out at the start of the season saying he's the best young prospect in the Premier League, then you're giving him 7 minutes against Crystal Palace. What is that saying? It's desperation. You can't always look at Joe Gelhardt and think, do you know what? He's going to come on for 5 minutes and he's going to get me that golden goose that he did against Norwich last year, because that's just hurting his development. So yeah, I think there's definitely a lot to consider. Let's have a look at what some of you guys are saying. We need to close down Harvey Barnes. Completely agree, Steve. He seems to love playing up against Leeds. Scott, apologies, late to the party, Connor. No bother, my friend. So if we get done by Leicester, what's your thought on JM versus MB? I don't like comparing, Scott, because you know, mate, and if you're a fan of this channel, you'll know as well. Bloody necklace do my head in. You'll know if you're part of this channel that I thought, and I don't really want to go over old ground because it's pointless. We're on a preview. But I thought Bielsa would take Leeds down. I thought we're going down with Bielsa, and I think that would have been an eventuality. So I think it's difficult at the minute to judge Jesse because he kept us up. Which was a massive feat. I thought we were going down. I thought we're done. You guys knew that. I still can't believe we stayed up on that last day. The first team to do what we did since Wigan in 2011. Let that sink in. And I think to compare Jesse Marsch to that and what Marcelo Bielsa's imprint on Leeds United was, it's very difficult to contextualise, and I do like to bring context because nobody brings context to so many debates on YouTube. It's my most frustrating thing, when people don't contextualise points. It's a nightmare. But yeah, I can't really bring into context a Jesse Marsch versus Marcelo Bielsa debate because it's just, they're so polarising in terms of figures. But if you're asking me what I think about Jesse Marsch, if he loses this Leicester game and he loses it well, he's under pressure. He's under massive pressure, and you've got the World Cup coming up. Bear that in mind. So let's have a look. Rasmus to keep Barnes quiet. Yeah, really good point, Justin. Done with Zaha and Martinelli, and also Rasmus got forward. A lot of people are not talking about this. Rasmus got forward quite a lot, and he wasn't spotted. He wasn't spotted because at points we may have been a little bit too narrow, and Rasmus would be busting. So that's what I don't understand with Jesse. Why does he want him to get forward? Why does he want him to provide the width, and then we don't go out wide? It's strange. It's very bizarre. But yeah, Rasmus, I think's improving game by game, which is great. Michael says, Gnonto, one of the few in the squad that can carry the ball and go direct at opponents, and he has power, so he won't be knocked off the ball. Why isn't he given a chance? Yeah, Michael, he might be given a chance. Obviously, I don't think he's in the under-21s tonight, but it's a lot of... You've got to give him a chance, of course you have. You've got to give him a chance, but I think what I will say, Michael, is there was so many Leeds fans saying the exact same thing about Crysencio Somerville, and I am still not convinced he's ready. Been given the number 10 shirt. It's a mad thing with Crysencio, and there's a lot of Leeds fans. I remember at the back end of last season being really aggravated that it wasn't starting, and I understand that. And I also understand that Willy Gnonto is an Italian international. I get that. Once again, you got to apply context. Italy aren't amazing at the minute when it comes to going forward, but that's taking absolutely nothing away from Willy Gnonto. He's been absolutely fantastic for the Italians by all accounts. But I think from what I've heard, he's still quite raw. But that rawness, as we saw with Hadi Sacco, everybody, can bring a little bit of unpredictability. So yeah, I do get that. I wouldn't be starting him, though. I really wouldn't be starting him. But Scott's... sorry, I'll get into your comments, Jarvis. But Scott's bang on. He says Gnonto will probably play in the Cup. I think that would probably be a shrewd move, to be honest. Some people has hardly played in the Prem, though, so I don't know how we can judge his ability. I guess, Jarvis, it's just when he's come on and you've been able to analyse him in-game. Just maybe him getting nudged off the ball a little bit. Maybe him just looking a little bit off the pace. Maybe just the ball getting stuck under his foot. Maybe just him looking absolutely rapid in the under-21s and being quite direct and brave. And maybe when he's come on in the first team, being a little bit restricted. That might be by the coach, but I doubt it is. I think he's just a little bit more nervous and a little bit more keen to pass instead of drive at the defenders. And that is definitely something we need, of course. Yeah, I sort of agree with Freddie at the minute. He isn't clinical or even strong enough for the league at the minute, and that was a massive chance. I had someone it's fair play, it's everybody's opinion, isn't it? But someone on the comment section from the Arsenal game said that wasn't an easy chance. I mean, he's about 8 yards out with the entire goal to aim at. with a cutback, with no defender, with the defender I think about 2 yards away from him. It was a must-hit target chance, and what an opportunity for him to say, look, Jesse, I've scored, I've got us a point in this game. Let me start against Leicester, but he wasn't able to do that, unfortunately. So yeah, honestly, guys, I think this is a good game for Leeds. I do think it's a good game. I think Brendan Rodgers, his job's pretty much on the line at the minute. If he was to get beat by Leeds United, I think that would be him sacked. On the contrary, you're looking at Leeds at the minute. You're looking at Jesse Marsch. He's under pressure, everyone. Great performance at the weekend, but the result was Leeds lost the game again. So without winning since August, we're in November now. We've got to pick up points. So that's why, for me, this is a must-win. Would I be devastated with a point? No, I wouldn't be devastated with a point. But if the expectation of this Leeds side is to finish mid-table, it's a must-win, in my opinion, because we need to start climbing that table. And I think there's a lot of Leeds fans who are expecting us to beat Fulham and Bournemouth. Please go and watch Bournemouth if you haven't already this season. Bournemouth are looking very, very good. Fulham slipped off a little bit recently, but they are resilient. And look at where we are, everyone. We're not blowing anyone away. We're not this incredible team at the minute. The first season under Marcelo Bielsa, you'd be going into every game, even against the top six, and be saying, yeah, we've got a chance here. We've got to go. But at the minute, the form table doesn't lie. Leeds are 19th. So any game's going to be tough, but we have to pick up points in these next 4 for me. Connor, do you not think it's embarrassing for Joffrey to come on the 88th minute? Yeah, I do, mate. I don't really understand what he's doing there, to be honest. I don't understand why Bamford didn't start either. A lot of people saying it's fitness. It's a bit strange, but it is what it is. Do you think if we have another penalty ban? I do think Bamford will take it, Scott, and fair play to him. But I think, did we all know he was going to miss at the weekend? I just stood there and I was like, he's missed. It's too much time. We know when he gets too much time in front of goal, when the ball is played to him and he's thrown goal, we know he's shocking when it comes to that. When he's actually got time to think, he's an instinctive striker normally, and that's where he gets a lot of his outcome. But when he has time to think, and he had time to think waiting for the penalty, and maybe that's a little bit of a mentality issue with Pat. Because there are ruthless strikers in this division who are English. I mentioned Ivan Toney the other day, and everybody in the comment section below was saying, Ivan Toney, how can you compare Pat Bamford to Ivan Toney? Well, last season when Ivan Toney was being mentioned for Brentford, everybody was laughing. Everybody was laughing when we were comparing him to Patrick Bamford. Everybody said, Pat's been out a year, but the year before he scored 17 goals. He's miles ahead of Ivan Toney. But now, because Ivan Toney started coming up a little bit, because he started showing what he's all about, everybody doesn't think you can even compare Bamford to Toney. So it's context again. It's weighing up. It's the yin and the yang. So has Gerrard officially been sacked? I think it's coming, isn't it? Now, here he is, Mark. I'm getting Mark's comment on. Mark comes for me all the time. Fair play to you, Mark, because you come for me every time. You don't like what I say, and you hear every video, so fair play to you, mate. You were saying a must-win all last season, but we stayed up. Nowhere near as bad as last year. Have faith. That's fine, Mark, but what are you judging that on? Because at this point, last season, I showed it on a video last weekend, after the Arsenal game, saying it was 10 games in, and the whole premise of the video was, are Leeds in a relegation battle? On that video, which was at this time last season, there was Leeds fans, me, myself, and I, we were all saying that it's going to be a tough one for us this year. With the fixtures that we've had, as we keep saying, it's mental that people aren't listening to that point. With the fixtures we've had, right? With the fixtures we've got coming up, obviously, our teams in and around us, the teams that we've struggled against so far this season, how can you come out of that and say, it's going to be fine? We're absolutely fine. I'm getting people still telling me we're finishing 10th and 11th. So it's not, Mark, this isn't me coming on and being negative. It's me just talking about the situation. I've just proved on the form guide that in the last 10 games, 8 games, and 6 games, we are in the bottom 5. Okay, there's no way of dousing that one up, mate. So I do have faith. At the start of the season, I was really, really excited. I still think we should have made additions. We didn't make those additions, and that's why going into the season, I was a little bit upset. I was a little bit down about what we could have done because I felt at some point Leeds were going to teeter off. But I'm saying in this video, this is a huge opportunity for Leeds to win. I'm also encouraged. I think Leeds could get a win in this game. I've also, this season, predicted in the last 5 games, Leeds not to lose. So negative and all this sort of stuff, Mark. I know you're at me all the time with this negative stuff, but I'm just saying what I see, mate. I don't understand how you can dress this up anymore, my friend. But listen, if I hope we are better off than last season, but from what we've seen so far, I don't see what some fans are seeing when they're just like, yeah, we're miles away. We're miles better than what we were last season. And my head's a little bit mashed when it comes to that sort of stuff, mate. As someone's just said, that the league doesn't lie. The league doesn't lie. We need to have some more faith in the youth brought in. I'm not saying start them, but we need play. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that, mate. I wouldn't disagree with that. Rob Fleming said, what's your views on the best centre-back pairing? All day, mate. Strauch and Cock. All day. Strout my cock. Yeah, all day, mate. All day. I'm not asking you to do that, by the way, Rob. It's just a play on words. But yeah, they are. And the other two, if it was up to me, I mean, we'd have 2 other defenders in, put it that way. Dow says, the fixtures we've had so far are more difficult for us to beat. When we start playing more top half sides, we'll start picking up more points. Sounds ridiculous, but is the kid... Okay, yes, and I hope you're right. What sides are they, Dow? What sides? Because I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Chelsea was very, very different because they were going through a lot of problems at that phase. Chelsea had a horrific start. Great performance by Leeds, but it was a horrific start. Arsenal, it was a brilliant performance by Leeds, but we still lost the game. We still lost the game. So when you're looking at Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham, West Ham, Brighton, are we looking at us? So in your opinion, Dow, are we going to be beating those sides? A lot of those sides. I don't think we've got the quality. That's really simple. I'm trying to be optimistic. I know, mate. I know. And I am. I think what should I say it? I think we could get something from this game, mate. I'm not saying we won't. We just need to iron out. I'm also nervous about this one as well because of a lot of what you guys have flagged up. You know, if we do lose this game, but I don't think we will. We won't lose this game. I'm not the kiss of death this season. Honestly, I'm not. I'm not. When I say we'll win, a lot of times we've actually drawn. So Everton and Villa, I said we'd win, and then we drew. So don't worry, we don't lose when I say that. Scott, yeah. Pretty much every current Leeds chat can be summarised as need points, need a left back, and need a striker right now. You bang on, mate. You bang on. Econ saying, I remember someone getting a crazy stat about how it's a very small percentage of teams that go down after winning their first 3 or whatever it was. I mean, yeah, exactly. Leeds break the trend. Leeds book the trend. I was saying it on the debrief last season. The trend bookers. Yeah, so... Jack's, hey, Jack. How long do you give Jesse Marsh? Do you know what, Jack? I know you're a top boy, but I don't like discussing this really, and I didn't like discussing it with Bielsa. It really pained me, but I couldn't lie when I came on and I was talking about Bielsa because I'd supported him for so long. Sometimes his football frustrated the life out of me, but it's the best football I've ever seen in my life, and I love the man. But I don't want to come out on here and start, talking about Jesse Marsh losing his job. What I will say is, if he doesn't pick enough up, if he doesn't pick up enough points, and you're asking me scenario based here, Jack, if we lose the next, we've got 3 really, really winnable games in our next 4. If we lose 2 or 3 out of the next 4, he's gone. He has to go for me. And I think the board will make that decision because otherwise you're looking at a scenario where Leeds will be in the bottom 3 coming up to the World Cup. And the World Cup would be an opportunity for Leeds to change. So I think that's what they'll do. And I think if you got beaten by Leicester and then you got beaten by Fulham or Bournemouth, there's loads of Leeds fans are going to be saying the same thing anyway. And I think then you can judge him really, because you're nearly 15 games in at that point. 15. I mean, it's too early. That's what I get all the time. Honestly, 20 games in last season. 20 games in last season. It's too early to judge. Give him time. I love Leeds, always do, but to be honest, their performances have been woeful. Watched all teams this season. Sorry to say Leeds are the poorest team I've seen. So, my dad says the same. My dad will say with Leeds, we're not good when you watch other sides. My dad watches loads of other football. He's got one of those dodgy fire sticks, and he watches a lot of other sides, and he doesn't think we're not. If we're being realistic, we're not. And that's why when you get Leeds fans, fair play to you, but saying we're going to finish 10th. I can't. Are we better than 10 teams? I don't think we are. I really don't think we are. We could have been if the board had invested. Morning, Connor. It's 6:30 a.m. Matt, hope you're all good, my friend. Hope you're all good. The service crew's in the building. The thing is, if we get rid of JM, it's another summer wasted, and I can't see us staying up if someone... Yeah, it's transitional, isn't it, mate? It's another where you've got players like Brendan Aronson and Tyler Adams and Rasmus who are suited to Jesse's system, and you bring in another manager. Then what do you do? Because surely if you want to progress, you go in and get a possession-based manager. That's what we'd have to do. We'd have to go and get a possession-based manager, because to progress, to dominate, to control games in the Premier League, you have to have a possession-based manager. That's why at the minute it's chaos and frantic. We don't control games because that's not the way Jesse Marsch plays. He's pretty much admitted that. So I think, you are then looking at a change in style as well, as probably a new manager wanting players in January. So it is a mess. You don't really want to be changing managers, but it's the way of the world now. And unfortunately, managers have a short lifespan. So, guys, I'm going to leave it there. It's been a bit of a longer one than I would imagine, but we are going to be back with the debrief tomorrow. Me and Brownie will be back for that, so please come and check that one out. It's going to be a good one. It's just before the game as well, so that's going to be nice. It's going to be nice to really delve into Leicester City. Leicester, Kasabian. Get into all that sort of good stuff. So I really appreciate you guys sticking round. And as Justin says, 330 of you now in the chat. Before you go, just switch off and hit the like. It's free. And if you want some bonus content, Patreon, everyone. Patreon, we'll have 3 videos out this week. I just mentioned my dad, he'll be on one as well. Guys, have a good one. And I will see you in a bit. Cheers.